Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Anime Ball X is here. As you can see the thumbnail. What if Issei trained by the Great Red Part 2. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and share this video to your friends, and also watch previous episode. Let's start the video. It was after school now, and Issei was laying on the couch as everyone went out to handling their clients' wishes, so he decided to go home early tonight, and remembering he had to cook for himself because his parents won't be there. As he finished his meal and prepared for bed, he stayed up a while longer to see if Rias would sneak into his room again, but she never came. Issei was a bit taken aback at the atmosphere in the clubroom before speaking up. "Hey Baku, everyone, what's wrong?" Rias was the one to reply with a forlorn expression. Last night when Kaneko went to meet a client, she found him nailed against a wall upside down, with cuts all over his body. She sighed before continuing, and then she was attacked by a priest, but the strange part is he was with a nun who saw the client and was shocked at what she saw. It was then Kaneko continued, the priest grabbed her and shoved her face into the client and told her, "This is what we do to devil worshippers," before he dropped a flash grenade and left. Issei just had a concerned look on his face before asking, "Kaneko, did the nun had blonde hair and spoke Italian and seemed too kind for her own good?"
Kaneko just nodded as she took a bite out of her chocolate bar. "Issei, do you know her?" Rias asked with a worried expression. "Yes, I met her a few days ago and walked her to the abandoned church that the fallen angels are holed up in. It was the day after and I was glad it was Saturday once again," and took his bike out. He stopped and sat on a bench at a park where his seal was broken.
He took a seat on a bench and started thinking about everything that was going on. Then I felt a familiar aura. It belonged to Asia. I got up and started looking around the park and found her wandering around with the lost look on her first, the same look she had when I first met her. I just walked over to her and she was surprised to see me. "Eyes, what are you doing here?" she asked. "I'm just riding my bike around town today. What about you?" I replied with a smile. "I just wanted to see the town today, so I decided to take a walk," was her answer, but I could tell there was something weighing on her mind. "Do you want me to show you around? We can ride around on my bike." I just smiled at her as she held on to me tight with her eyes closed as we rode through traffic. We stopped at a family restaurant. I ordered a double cheeseburger and fries with a soda. I noticed she was having trouble reading the menu, so I ordered the same for her, but she had a puzzled look when our food came. "What wrong, Asia? What's wrong? Don't you like it?" I asked. She just nodded no and replied, "It's not that, it's I never had anything like this and they didn't bring me a fork or a knife to eat with." I just smiled and thought that she must have lived a sheltered life before showing her how to eat the food in front of us. While we were having our lunch, Issei sensed a devil watching us. He didn't have any of the aura I felt at the school. Issei looked out the window and noticed a young devil with blonde hair was watching them. Issei made his hand into the shape of a gun, pointed it at the devil and mouthed the words "bang." The devil was surprised at this and left the scene. Asia was surprised at his sudden gesture, looked out the window and asked, "Eyes, is there something wrong outside?" He just replied, "I just remembered a place that is nearby that I know you'll have fun at." When they arrived at arcade, Asia had stars in her eyes, everything in front of her. They started out with a racing game. Even though Issei won, she was still smiling. As we were leaving, she left my side to look at the crane game and was smiling at a little stuffed toy based on a mouse. "Would you like that stuffed toy?" I asked her. "Oh no, you've done so much for me today." "It's no problem," I replied while inserting a coin into the machine, and got the stuffed toy on my first try. Her face lit up enthusiastically as she accepted it. On our way back to my back, a young boy fell in front of us and scraped his knee. Asia immediately kneeled down and I saw a green glow from her hands, and the boy's scraped knee was healing. He bowed and thanked her before leaving. "That's a wonderful sacred gear you've got there." She looked at me. "Eyes, you know about sacred gears?" "Yay, my uncle told me about them when he was training me." "Eyes, can I tell you a story?" I just nodded as she put on a complicated expression, then her face turned sad as she started. In a certain region in Europe, there was a girl who was discarded by her parents. She was raised in a church nearby by a nun along with other orphans. The girl, who was a strong follower of the church, received a special power at the age of 8. She healed a wounded puppy, and a person from the Catholic Church witnessed it by chance. From there on, her life changed. The girl was taken to the main Catholic Church and she was symbolized by many as a holy maiden because of her healing power. She used her power to heal many believers, and they were told it was a power of divine protection. Rumors brought rumors, and she was respected as a holy maiden. Even without her approval, she had no dissatisfaction for how she was treated. People from the church were kind and she didn't hate healing people. She instead was happy that her power was of use. The girl was thankful to her power which was bestowed to her by God, but she was a bit lonely. She didn't have any friends she could open up to. Everyone treated her nicely and was nice to her, but there were no one willing to become her friend. She understood why. She knew that they were looking at her power as something irregular. They didn't look at her as a human but as a creature that could heal humans. But one day, it changed. By coincidence, there was a devil nearby and she healed it. A wounded devil. The girl couldn't ignore it. She thought that even if it was a devil, she had to heal it if it was injured. It was her kindness that made her take such an action, but that changed her life forever. Someone from the church saw that incident and notified others of the church. The ministers of the church were shocked about it. A power that can heal devils? Something absurd like that cannot happen. The power of healing can only heal the followers of God. Yes, there were several people who had the power to heal. But the power to heal the devil was out of the question. The people of the church thought it was common sense that the power of healing doesn't work on fallen angels and devils. Apparently, a similar incident had happened in the past, the power to heal fallen angels and devils that were not protected by God, but that was feared as the power of a witch. So the people saw her as a heretic, damn witch that heals devils. The girl who was respected as a holy maiden was then feared as a witch, and the Catholic Church abandoned her. She didn't have anywhere to go, and the organization of stray exorcists picked her up. In other words, she had to get divine protection from the fallen angels, but the girl never forgot to pray to God. She also never forgot to thank God. Even so, the girl was abandoned. God didn't save her. What shocked her the most was that there was not even a single person in the church that was willing to defend her. There was no one who cared about her. It's because I didn't pray enough. It's because I'm clumsy. I'm so stupid that I can't even eat a burger by myself. Asia wipes her tears while laughing. This is also a trial that the Lord gave me. Since I'm a clumsy nun, the Lord gave me this trial, so I have to endure it. She was laughing as if she was talking to herself. I'm sure I will make lots of friends one day. I have a dream. I want to go buy flowers with a friend, buying books and someone to talk with. She is full of tears. You already have a friend in me, Asia. We ate, played and talked together. I told her that with a smile. I wanted to tell her that God was dead, but her mental state is unstable right now. She might do something drastic, so I gave a hug and held her tight before continuing. Asia, I have something to tell you. I paused and looked into her eyes. I'm not human. Before I could continue, a barrier went up and everyone in the area was leaving, as is avoiding being around the area. Then a young man with short white hair and dressed as priest came walking towards us and started talking. Asia, why did you run away from us? We need you to come back. Father Fried, I'm not coming back. You tried to kill a man last night. I don't want to be around people like that. But it's our job to punish shitty devil worshippers and devils too. We don't have God's protection, but we still need to do his work. I'm sorry. The truth is I ran away, but I have to go back now, she said with a downcast expression. I just held her hand. Asia, it's a good thing that you ran away, cause I was wondering how to save you and Rainier, who's still at the church. As I finished talking to Asia, I turned to the priest. I think you should leave now. It's obvious she don't want to go with you, so she'll be coming with me. When I finished my statement, his face turned into a scowl before he started talking again. Who do you think I am? My name is Friedselsen, the Great Exorcist, he yelled, then put on a disgusted face before continuing. They said I can't kill you, so I'll kill your boyfriend, then rape you and take you back to the Donasik, so Issei. Before he finished, he was punched in the face. Asia didn't even see Issei leave her side. At first she was thinking of leaving with Fried so Issei will be safe, and after what he said about rescuing her, she wasn't sure what to do, but she didn't want to go back to the Fallen, and now her first friend was fighting for her. You're not human. You must be a shitty devil. I'll cut you up like the rest, he exclaimed while pulled out a light sword and gun. He then rushed at Issei and attempted to slash him across his chest. Issei dodged the slash and saw the gun pointed at his left leg. He immediately spun on his right leg, avoiding the shot. Fried was getting frustrated that none of his attacks were hitting. He jumped backwards and took one last shot at Issei, then pointed his gun at Asia. Issei, seeing this, immediately ran and stood in front of her and glared at Fried. Ablaze with fire, hitting Donasik across his chest, leaving a scar that ran along his chest and stomach. Just a little reminder, and tell your master these girls are under my protection, he said, and walked back to the underground. Donasik grabbed his chest while disappearing in his magic circle. Back in the underground, Asia was trying to heal Rainier and the other two, who were covered in cuts from being beaten to near death. Issei looked at them, took broke the handcuffs that were suppressing their magic. He also realized that they were very near to death and not sure if Asia could heal them. He began looking around the underground, trying to find anything to help them. As he almost walked past a cupboard, he noticed it was magically infused. Upon opening it, he realized it was concealing several interesting items: an evil pieces full set, the Brave Saint Spades card set the angels were working on, but it was incomplete. Also a red gauntlet, and a paper with the topic Blazer Shining Aura Darkness Blade written by Azazel. Issei held the red gauntlet and felt the presence of a dragon sleeping. He took these items and them to the girls. How are they? he asked. Asia just looked at him and spoke in a sad tone. They're very weak. Even if I heal them, I don't know if they're alive. Is immediately stood up and asked the three of them. I may have a way to save the three of you, but I'm not sure if it will work. They all looked at him, and Rainier was the first to speak up. Our own kind did this to us, and you're the only one to help. If it means that someday we'll get our revenge, then I'll take the chance. They all nodded at her words. They saw a magic circle appear under them and was instantly transported away. It was now middle turn, and she laid floating in the middle of the other girls, and Issei gave her the three of pawn, and just like Rainier, the procedure was a success. She smiled as she looked at her angel wing. Unlike the other two, she was born a fallen angel, so she was happy to be part angel. At first Kalawana was a bit skeptical at first, but now after seeing her comrades, she was sure that this was the right thing to do. They were betrayed by their own kind, and no one in their faction saved them. It was this boy who saved them when he didn't have to. He could have just saved Asia and leave them, but he came back for them and is willing to give them the power to live and get vengeance on the one who betrayed them. She stepped in front of Asia and laid before Issei and told him she was ready for what piece he deemed her fit to be. Issei brought out the 10 of rook and placed it in her chest. She was content that this was the right decision. After everything was over, she sat down next to Rainier and Middled, and watched as it was Asia's turn to become his servant. Asia was a bit frightened at the fact that her entire state of being was about to change.
But her fears were slowly going away when she realized that she'll be with her first friend for a very long time. As she laid there and saw Issei place the 8 of bishop and placed it into her chest, even though she knew that she was transformed into what Issei was, she didn't feel all that different until she tried to show her wings. She was ecstatic, being part angel, a being that was part of her religion, but was concerned about her other 2 pair of wings. Issei looked at the girls and started talking to them about their new wings. Now that you all have the same abilities just like me, you still have whatever original abilities you had before, and I'll help you all train to master your new ones. He then looked at the 3 fallen angels and continued speaking. I'll also ask that you help Asia adjust to her new life. I know she never had much contact with the outside world as the role the church placed on her, so I'll ask for your instance in this. They all nodded in agreement with him. Oh, one more thing, even though you all are part devil, you won't be affected by prayers and holy water. The only thing that can hurt you is holy weapons and light spears. Asia looked up at him and asked what was on her mind. Doesn't that mean I can still pray and read the Bible? Issei looked at her with a smile, seeing that even though she was thrown out of the church and called a witch, she still prayed to God. He wanted to tell them God was dead but opted not to at this moment. Thanks for your help, Uncle Red, Issei said as he was preparing to leave, just to be stopped by Great Red. What do you plan to do with Drag? He asked. Issei just looked at the gauntlet before speaking. So that's the dragon I sensed in the gauntlet. Maybe I'll put it in my pocket dimension with the other pieces until I find a servant who can be its host. Great Red just turned ready to go back doing its tricks in the dimensional gap before having the last word. Be careful, while you were away she came by and told me she's gathering beings from different factions to fight me. Even though she don't know about our relationship, she might try to recruit you. Issei haven't heard him talk about her since Great Red told him the story of when they fought for control of the dimensional gap. He wanted to roll around and do tricks. She wanted silence. With a nod he activated his magic circle and they left the dimensional gap. They reappeared back inside the abandoned church. Issei immediately felt the presence of the devil who was watching him and Asia earlier, and the presence of 15 weaker devils. As they were leaving the church, Issei looked at his bike and realized that he don't have enough room at his house for all of them. He was pushing his bike while the girls were walking on either side of him. When he reached his home, he placed his bike in the garage and told the girls to make themselves at home cause he had an errand to run. While inside, Issei turned around to face the devil and his followers who been stalking them since they left the church. Can you tell me why you're following us, devil? He snared. And out of the shadows a blonde young man dressed in noble attire stepped out and started speaking. My name is Diadora Astaroth, I've come for my Asia, he said with an insincere smile. Issei looked at him while being on guard of him. Can you tell me how you know her? Still smiling, he just snapped his fingers and 15 girls dressed as nuns appeared from where they were hiding. Issei looked at him and thought of something. Let me guess, you were the devil she healed. Diadora continued smiling as he talked. Let's just say I have a fetish for pure nuns, and after she got kicked out the church I was gonna make her my next plaything. Issei was disgusted by what he just heard. He created a barrier around him and the devils. Don't try to escape, you won't be able to. After that was said, Diadora ordered the girls to attack Issei. Issei ignored the girls and went straight for Diadora, punching him, breaking his nose. Diadora held his bloody nose and snarled at Issei. Do you not know who you're dealing with, you insignificant worm? I am Diadora Astaroth, little brother to Ajuka. Beelzebub. Issei paused his actions before continuing. I see, so I can't just kill you. Diadora smiled once more, thinking he won. Good, now that you know your place you will hand my Asia over to me. Let me ask you something, does Rias Gremory know that you're in her territory? Diadora was taken aback at the statement and his smile faltered. This was all Issei needed, as he raised his left hand up. Diadora thought he was given up and started walking towards him with his girls now at his side, but was surprised when he and the nuns were trapped in circular barrier. They tried to escape using magical attacks and teleportation but failed. Why don't we go talk to Rias and see what she has to say about this, and teleported away. Old school building. Rias was about to dismiss her peerage for the night when a magic symbol containing a dragon's head with ram's horn on both sides, a cross in the middle of the dragon's head, and one pair of both angel and devil wings spreading behind the dragon's head. Realizing that they never saw this symbol before, they all got on guard and stood in front of Rias in a protective manner, but was surprised when they saw who came out the magic circle. They looked on and relaxed when Issei came out the magic circle, and behind him was a young man with 15 girls dressed as nuns in a barrier. Oh my Issei, you have a very unique magic circle. I never seen anything like it, Rias stated with a smile, but dropped her smile when she recognized the young man trapped in the barrier. Why is the heir to the Astorath clan and his peerage trapped behind you? She asked, still bearing cautious of the situation. That's why I'm here. Did you know he was in your territory? He asked of her. No, I did not, but before you explain the situation I'll have to ask for someone else to be present. And with that she looked to Akeno, who just bowed towards Rias before leaving the room. It was 10 minutes after Akeno left. Issei was currently sitting on a sofa across from Kaneko, who was eating some chocolate donuts with sprinkles.
Rias was seated behind her desk not sure how to deal with the situation, and Yudo was standing near Diadora and had his guard up. Then there was a knock on the door and Akeno entered the room with two females. The first had a bob-cut hairstyle wearing glasses, the other one had knee-long black hair. She also wore glasses with heterochromic eyes. Sona, Tsubaki, welcome. Rias greeted them. I stood up and greeted them. Hi, I'm Issei Yudo. I'm Sona Shitori, Student Council President, and this is my Vice President Tsubaki Shinra, Sona greeted. I see Shitori must be an alias and you and your peerage is the other devil presence I've been feeling in the school, Issei said with a small smile. It's no point in trying to hide it, he knows more about us and the supernatural world than we thought, Rias exclaimed. I see, then allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Sona Shitori and this is my queen Tsubaki Shinra, she said with a small curtsy. Sona was now looking at the trapped Diadora before taking a seat across from Issei with Tsubaki standing behind her. Akeno went to the back room and prepared some tea. Kaneko was now standing next to Yudo. After Akeno returned and served tea to Rias, Sona and Issei, they started the conversation. So Issei, why do you have the heir to the Asterith house and his peerage trapped in a barrier? Sona inquired. He attacked me and was about to attack a member of my newly created peerage. Before he finished he was cut off by Rias yelling. Issei, I never knew you had a peerage. What house are you from? When She stopped as Issei put his hand in the air to stop her from talking so he can continue. Rias, I just created my peerage tonight, and I'm not from any house in the underworld, but to continue, I have a feeling you didn't know he was in your territory. The only reason he's still alive is because he claimed to be the little brother of Ajuka Beelzebub. I'm glad that you didn't kill him, and yes, is the little brother to one of our leaders, Rias explained. Issei, this member of your new peerage you created, is she a nun? Sona asked with a cocked eyebrow. Yes, she's a former nun, and please you can call me Eyes. I see, he has a habit of breaking nuns and using them as his playthings, Sona told him. This enraged Issei slightly as he glared at Diadora. Well, Issei, since he's a high-class pure-blooded from a Pillar's clan, the most he'll get is talked to about going in another's territory without informing the person in charge, Sona told him. So I have to release him? Issei asked as he looked between Rias and Sona. They both nodded at him. Issei got up and went over to the barrier and saw Diadora looking at him with a smug smile. Issei glared at him before dispelling the barrier. Diadora stood up and dusted himself off and was about to speak before Issei grabbed him by the throat and told him, come close to me or Asia and I'll rip your heart out and feed it to you, and deal with the consequences. I then released the grip and watched him and his peerage leave in a magic circle. Rias and Sona watched the interaction between Issei and Diadora, and after Diadora left, Sona spoke up. Issei, we will need you to fully explain yourself and how you acquired a peerage. Issei looked at her as he calmed himself down before replying. How about tomorrow you and Rias can come over to my house for dinner while I explain everything. You can even bring your queens. And after he told them that, teleported back home. Issei appeared in his bedroom and went downstairs to see the girls watching TV and sitting on the couch. Okay, now that we're all here, let's talk about sleeping arrangements. Asia and Middle, you can have the spare room upstairs, and Kalawana and Rainier, you can sleep in my room tonight. As for me, I'll sleep on the couch for tonight and think of a permanent situation tomorrow, Issei told them standing next to the TV. Oh, and before I forget, 4 devils will be coming over for dinner tomorrow, so I can explain how I got my own peerage. They all looked a little shocked about the company coming over tomorrow before relaxing and continued watching TV. The girls woke up to the smell of breakfast. Asia and Middle put on some shirts that belonged to Issei. Both noticing that their panties were slightly showing, Middle didn't mind, but Asia was blushing. Middle went downstairs while Asia stayed to pray. Kalawana and Rainier had the same problem, but their panties were fully seen and they paid no mind to it being fallen. It didn't bother them much. As they reached downstairs, they saw Issei setting the table. Even though they wanted to help, he just told them to sit and relax, but as when he saw Asia fidgeting in her seat, he had to say something. Asia, what's wrong? You can tell me anything, he asked. It's just that I never wore just a shirt and panties in front of a boy before, she said while blushing. Issei finally caught what she meant and tried to calm her down. I'm sorry for making you feel uncomfortable. How about after breakfast I'll give you girls my credit card and you all can go shopping for new clothes and whatever items you might need. All the girls smiled at his gesture and ate their breakfast while having mundane conversations. The main topic Issei brought up was about remodeling the house so they can have their own rooms. He knew he had to talk to his parents about this. As the girls were leaving for the shopping stores to buy what they needed, Rainier changed into her Yuma form. After a few minutes of Issei was alone, he decided to call his parents to tell them his plans. Issei, is that you? Is something wrong? His mother asked on the other end of the line. No, nothing's wrong. I just need to tell you guys something and ask for your permission for something else. All right, I'll put you on speaker so your father can hear as well. Well, I found 4 girls who were kidnapped and mistreated by some weird guys, and I told them they can stay with us. He knew this lie was necessary so his parents never find out about the supernatural world. And I was thinking of renovating the house so they can have their own rooms. Issei waited patiently for his parents to respond. Issei, are you following my dream and starting a harem? His father asked and received a slap from his wife. Dear Issei, isn't like that and don't have perverted thoughts like you. His mother berated his father. Issei, are you sure it's safe and these girls aren't in league with the kidnappers and trying to trick you? His mother asked in a worried tone. She's always been protective of him, thinking every girl he talks to is trying to fool him or trick him. The only girl she liked was his childhood friend Irina. I'm positive that they're not trying anything, he assured her. Well, I know you won't do anything indecent to them and I trust your word if you say so, and it's okay with me if you remodel the house. And your father just nodded, giving his approval as well. Just send me a picture of the new house when it's done. In a warm tone she gave him the okay. Thank you both for your trust in me, and we'll be staying at a hotel until the renovation is finished. Enjoy the rest of your vacation, Issei told them before hanging up. It's been over 3 hours since the girls left to buy what they needed and had just returned. They all bought similar hygienic materials for daily use, but their clothes were totally different. Middle bought different styles and colors of gothic clothing, Calawarna bought different business dress shirts and skirts, Asia bought mostly one-piece dresses of different colors, and Rainier bought clothes for both her forms. With was a lot of different t-shirts and jeans with a few dresses and mini skirts. The girls all glomped on Issei and thanked him for all he has done for them. He patted each of them and their heads and smiled, telling them it was his pleasure. Issei was about to leave for the supermarket to buy ingredients for the dinner later that night when Rainier insisted on going with him. The walk was quiet until Issei spoke up. Is there something weighing on your mind? I can see the worry in your eyes, he told her as they walked. She stopped a few steps behind him and started talking with tears in her eyes. I know you didn't have to save us after I stabbed you and left you for dead. You could have taken Asia and leave us, but you came back for me and also my 2 friends. She started wiping the tears from her eyes. We were betrayed and beaten by our own kind, and it wasn't our leader who sent help or saved us. It was you, someone who could have held a grudge at all fallen angels and let us be, but you. Before she finished, Issei held her in a warm embrace before speaking. When we went on our date, I saw how troubled you were and I heard what you said. I know you didn't want to do it and I forgive you. I hold no hatred against you, and I promise I'll help you and the others find the one who did that to you and make sure he pays. Held her for a few minutes until she felt better and continued on while she was holding onto his arm with a smile on her face. Sona wanted to bring more of her peerage other than just her queen. She wasn't sure of meeting Issei without a backup plan, but trusted Rias when she told her that he wasn't a threat to them. Sona didn't like the fact that Issei somehow got a hold of evil pieces and now started his own peerage without going through the proper channels. As they stood outside his home, she felt not only Issei's aura but 4 other auras that told her these were the ones he reincarnated into devils, and just stood there as Rias went up to ring the doorbell. Issei and Middle just finished placing the plates on the dining table before calling all the girls together as he felt the 4 auras outside his home. All right, while we're eating and meeting the other devils, I'd like you all to hide your angel wings. They don't know I'm part angel and I'm not ready to reveal that to anyone just yet. If they want to see your wing, just your devil and dragon wings. After he said that, they all heard the doorbell ring and Calawarna went to greet their guests for dinner. Rias thought it would be Issei to greet him at the door, but was surprised when a tall woman opened the door and greeted them. Welcome Lady Rias, Lady Sona and their queens. Master Eyes has been expecting you, she said with a bow and led them to the dining room. The table was lightly decorated with a small floral arrangement that didn't block anyone's view of each other, with 2 small baskets of croissants at close to the ends on opposite sides of the table. As they sat down, Issei served them avocado-flavored paella. In the middle of dinner, Sona was the first to speak up as she was curious how Issei got hold of evil pieces. So Eyes, how did you acquire your evil pieces, if you don't mind me asking? I found them in the abandoned church where I rescued these 3 who were held captive and beaten to near death by the same fallen angel that attacked me last week, he said while pointing to the 3 fallen female. Yes, Eyes saved us from our own kind who betrayed us and he is now our master, Rainier told her with a smile on her face. So you 3 were fallen before and chose to become part devil? Akeno asked in shock. Well, Akeno, I also had a little help from my uncle to give them more like me, Issei said as he drank some water. I'd like to know what you really are if you don't mind me asking, Sona said with a stern look on her face. Sure, I'm part dragon part devil, he told her, and I'm guessing this uncle of yours helped make him also part dragon. Who is you uncle, we'd like to know, Rias asked. His 4 housemates looked at him wondering if he'll tell them, but he just waved his hand in front of his face and replied, I'm sorry, but he wants his identity to be kept a secret as long as possible, but I'll tell you he's not any dragon in the underworld. Rias and Sona was unsatisfied with that answer but knew they wouldn't get answer even if they pressed the issue. Well, you know, we have to report this incident along with the report about Diadora Astereth to the underworld, Sona told him. I understand you have your responsibilities to attend to. As they finished eating dinner, they were currently sitting in the living room drinking tea. So Issei, I doubt that you only invited us for dinner to talk about how you acquired a peerage, Rias said in a taunting manner. You're correct, I was wondering if there was a way for the 4 of them to attend school with me, he asked her. She looked at Sona who just nodded at her before replying. Yes, we can arrange that. What years will they be in? Well, Middle can be in 1st year, and Asia and Rainier will be in 2nd year with me. As for Calawarna, I was thinking she can be a teacher if that's possible, he asked of them. Yes, that is possible, we'll just require their information and any alias they'll be using, Sona answered. Thank you both. If I can do anything to repay the both of you back, just let me know. he said as he bowed to both of them, prompting the other girls to bow, showing their thanks as well. Now that's taken care of, I'll have to find someone to renovate this house and get a hotel room. Upon hearing this, Rias' face lit up. I can help with that. We devils can renovate this house overnight, she told him. He looked at her surprised. They can do something like that. Okay, we can talk about the details of that tomorrow in the clubroom. For now let's talk about their application, he said after taking a sip of his tea. Middle, do you have an alias you use in the human world? Issei asked her. No, I do not. This was to be my first mission, she replied. Well, since you have blonde hair, how about using Asia's last name and say your sister's? I don't mind, I always wanted a sister, Asia exclaimed. I have no objections to the idea, Middle told them with a smile. Perfect, then from now on your name is Middle Argento, Issei told her. Rainier, do still want to be called Yuma Amano, or do you want to change it? I'll keep it, it was that name that led me to this new life, she replied. What about you, Carla Warner? He asked the oldest of them all. Well, mine is a bit unoriginal. It's Carla Warner, she told them, blushing while looking at the ground. Issei then turned to Sona. All right, there you have it, the aliases they'll be using from now on. I hope we all can get along, Issei told them. Great, I'll ask that all of you also join the Occult Research Club, and Carla Warner can be the club's advisor, Rias told them. Issei agreed with her, and then she left his house along with Akeno, Sona and Tsubaki. As we're walking outside, Sona turned and talked to Rias. I have a feeling he's hiding something other than the identity of his uncle from us, she told Rias. He might, but he must have his reasons. Also, he's part dragon and we know they're not that trusting of others, she replied. Issei was now sitting and watching the TV with the girls before he spoke up. They'll either send the information for girls tomorrow or they'll give them to me when I meet them at school tomorrow, he told them. But what are you gonna do about remodeling the house? Rainier asked him. He sat there in thought for a few seconds before giving an answer. For the renovation, I might have to buy the neighbors' homes from them. We might need the extra space. I'll talk to Rias about that tomorrow, he replied to her. They looked at him with nothing to say until Carla Warner spoke up. Is how wealthy is your family? She asked him. Me and my father has been investing in successful companies since I was 10, so we amassed a small fortune, he told them. They were surprised because they know when most people become wealthy they spend their money on extravagant cars and houses, but Issei and his family lived in the same 2-story 3-bedroom house. Next day, Issei was sitting in the Orc clubroom during lunch using his smartphone to make a few investments before talking to Rias. So I plan to buy the land my neighbors owns for the renovation, he told her. How big of a renovation would you like? She said with a devious smile. 6 stories with 3 underground floors. I can understand the 6 stories, but why do you need underground floors? She asked inquisitively. Those will be used for a training room, a large indoor bath, a movie theater, and the other 2 can be an indoor pool and a library and storehouse, he told her. Well, my father does construction in the human world, so I'll let him know about this, and you'll wake up tomorrow in your new house, she told him. Okay, that's great, I know my parents will like it as well. So what would you like for payment? He looked at Rias waiting for an answer. I can't think of anything at this moment, but as soon as I do I'll let you know. After they finished, Issei went back to his classes thinking of how he might find a way to repay her himself, but drew a blank. Issei entered the clubroom after school and Sona and Tsubaki there as well. Kaiku, it's nice to see you again, and you as well, Fuku Kaiku, he greeted them. I assume you're here to tell me about the girls' entrance into the school, he asked. Yes, I am. Yuma Amano and Asia Argento will be in your class, while Middle will be in the same class as Rias's Rook Kaneko Tuju, and as for Carla Warner, she'll be the school nurse and the club advisor, Tsubaki told him while handing him folders with their classes schedule. Thanks for watching guys, part 2 is over. Hope you all enjoyed, and please do like, share, comment and subscribe.